Peace, family. This is your brother Marc Lamont Hill. Today we're talking about Bill Cosby. Is Bill Cosby broke? Is Bill Cosby out of money? Is Bill Cosby struggling? Now, let me be clear. I'm not making this stuff up. I have no interest in anybody's misery. I really don't have any interest uh, in anybody's even Bill Cosby. I'll just say that. Even Bill Cosby, who is not somebody I would call a friend, he's somebody who has been awful to me. But nevertheless, I'm still fascinated by this story. According to Radar Online, Bill Cosby uh, is, quote, on a fixed income and in a, quote, dire financial situation. According to insiders, they say that Cosby, who is 86 years old, and his wife, Camille, shout out to Camille, we like you. It says that they were once worth $400 million, but they are being bled dry. Now, broke is relative. Financial problems is relative. Fixed income is relative. Fixed income might mean you can only spend $30,000 a month. Who knows, right? He get them Cosby residuals, them a different world residuals, them picture page residuals, the Fat Albert residuals. I'm sure that he ain't going to be working a 9 to 5 to get by. So let's not act like Bill Cosby is in a crisis here. But Bill Cosby's lifestyle, according to sources, according to Radar Online, is not able to be sustained, that they are in financial turmoil. They're saying that they are having to liquidate assets, that they're getting second mortgages on homes, that they are selling artwork. And you know, they got some precious artwork. Some of it you saw on the set of The Cosby Show. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let me know you're in the building, y'all. Let me know that y'all are here. And also hit that join button, man. We're trying to do lots of stuff here. Why am I talking about Bill Cosby's finances? Some of y'all want to know. The reason is because Bill Cosby's finances are directly tied to the lawsuits that are against him. Bill Cosby has been sued many, many times. Bill Cosby, whether he's found innocent or guilty, has to pay them lawyers and those lawyer fees. Sometimes you get lawyer fees back if you win a case. I don't know him to have won many cases here. And I'm not talking about the overturning of a case when he was incarcerated. I'm talking about actual civil cases here. So Bill Cosby's in a situation where he and his wife, Camille, according to this report on Radar Online, are having a struggle over how to spend money. But guess what? Bill Cosby is no longer in charge of the estate. He transferred everything over to Camille, his wife, when he was incarcerated for sexual acts of sexual misconduct, which were overturned. Not because he didn't do it. No one said he didn't do it, but because of double jeopardy. It was a due process issue. We got to be clear about that. Bill Cosby was not exonerated by any stretch. So because of all these lawsuits, they're struggling. And Camille's saying, look, I'm not changing my lifestyle. Camille Cosby saying, I want my house workers. I want people who are helping me cook and clean and help me maintain a certain life. And she's living that life for 60 years now. She's been married to Bill Cosby for 60 years. Now, look, I don't have a lot of sympathy for uber rich people that want to hold on to their house servants when they're having financial troubles. That's not the kind of financial struggle that I want to prioritize, or the kind of financial struggle that I want to feel deep sympathy for. But in the case of Camille Cosby, I feel different. If you've been married to Bill Cosby for 60 years, you've had to put up with some shit. You've had to put up with some nasty stuff. Even if we only believe Bill Cosby's story, even if everything Bill Cosby has ever said is true, he's never told a lie, and he's never done anything other than what he said, that might make you not guilty by the law, but it damn sure makes you a bad husband. So look, if Camille is sitting there saying, look, Bill, I've been through a lot, and we losing money because of your behavior, we're bled dry financially because of your actions. No, I'm not giving up my lifestyle at 70 plus years old. Was she 79 years old? I'm not giving up my lifestyle for that. I understand Camille's position on that, if that's what she's saying. But there's so much more to this. Because again, Bill Cosby being old and alone and broke and in poor health might feel like poetic justice to some people. I don't wish misery on anybody. I wish justice and accountability for everybody. So let's talk about that. By the way, shout out to everybody. We got a new member, Najet Nachaba. Thank you for joining. I love you. Appreciate you for joining the MLH family. You are a blessing. Everybody out there that's doing a Savage Gaming, thank you for the contribution you just made. Thank you to everybody who's joining the channel as a subscriber. Also hit that join button. $3.99 a month allows you to help me build this platform out. More helps us build it out even more. So whatever you can do, I'm grateful for. But at the very least, I'm grateful that if you just hit that like button right now, I'm grateful if you just hit the subscribe button right now. And if you share the videos and give yourself updates so you know when we're rocking and rolling, because every day there's new content here on the channel. So let's talk a little bit. Bill Cosby is struggling with past legal debt. Bill Cosby is also struggling with new legal problems. Bill Cosby was sued recently, this week, on Tuesday, in court. And I'm going to read it straight from USA Today again, because I don't want Bill Cosby suing me, because he would love to do that. USA Today reports that a woman who worked as a stand-in at the Cosby Show in the 1980s said in a lawsuit Tuesday that Bill Cosby drugged and sexually abused her after offering to mentor her in her acting career. The accuser says that basically Cosby said, look, I'll be your mentor. He started giving her style tips. He started going into her dressing room to do acting exercises, which sounds fishy as hell. He invited her to the house. Fishy as hell. That's not saying anything against the accuser. I'm saying Cosby's alleged behavior sounds fishy. And you say, well, why would she be doing this? Why would she be taking these tips? Why would she be doing exercises in his dressing room? Why would she be going to his house? Well, because he was married and because he had a wholesome image. Bill Cosby was America's dad. He was the supreme pitchman for everything. Jell-O, Kodak, Coca-Cola. He was the lead evangelist for HBCUs. Why would I not trust Bill Cosby if he's coming to me as a mentor and a father? I wouldn't doubt that. But she says when she got to his house, clearly Camille wasn't there. No other actors or actresses were there. And she says when she got there, she blacked out during an acting exercise after drinking wine that she says was apparently laced with an intoxicant. And when she woke up, she was partially undressed and vomiting into a toilet. It seemed that she told somebody about it, another actor. And that actor on the show, who shall remain nameless, not because I don't want to tell it, but because I don't know, it says an unidentified actor on the show, later expressed to her that Cosby, quote, could do whatever he wanted to do with impunity at the Cosby Show, which raises another issue. What's NBC doing about this? Does NBC have a role to protect people? Thank you, Black Nella, for joining the family. We love seeing it. Well, we'll find out, because she's not just suing Bill Cosby, she's also suing NBC for negligence. Let me see some. Adrian Prather says, be careful of judging people on the what and not taking into consideration why. He was not necessarily a bad husband, but definitely a husband that makes mistakes. Let me tell you something. There's no way you could look at Bill Cosby's record, the things that he's done by his own admission. Let's say every woman that Bill Cosby had sex with did so consensually. Let's say every woman he gave quaaludes to took them consensually. Let's say every Hollywood party, everything he's done. It's hard for me to believe that Camille signed up for that. And some women say they sign up for that. They say they sign up for open relationships or open marriages. And they may. We've seen some. Ossie Davis and Ruby D talked about it, but Ruby D also talked about how she didn't really want it. But in this case, this isn't just an open relationship. This is a pattern and a behavior of a lifestyle that we can't even imagine in terms of. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. So look, I'm not here to judge Bill Cosby as a husband. I'm simply saying that I understand why Camille might not want to lose her life based on Bill's behavior. Whether or not it's illegal or not doesn't mean that she doesn't have a right to be grossed out by it. That's all I'm saying. But let's get back to the point. This woman alleges that Bill Cosby did all this stuff, and she's suing Bill Cosby. And this happened in the 80s. And some of you are saying, well, why would you be suing now? Well, there's something called the Adult Survivors Act. It's an act in New York that allows the victims of sexual abuse a 1-year window for claims that would be barred otherwise because they're beyond the statute of limitations. But that window closes on Thanksgiving. So it's like in the way that people are running out, after Thanksgiving for Black Friday, many people are running into courtrooms before Thanksgiving to give their lawsuit, their depositions, their statements, to file their court papers against Bill Cosby. And Look, more than 60 women, more than 60 women have accused Bill Cosby of rape, sexual assault, or sexual harassment. Several have done so this year under the Adult Survivors Act. It's mind-boggling to me that with 60 allegations, many of them clearly credible, so many people are simply saying Bill Cosby didn't do it. Bill Cosby's being railroaded. What does that mean? Well, some people, I'm looking at Kara Clark here, who says, Bill Cosby ain't as bad as most of these NBC Universal executives and employees. Do you not remember Matt Lauer? Let's do a video about how Matt Lauer lost his career and family due to sexual misconduct. Look, Matt Lauer, by again, all accounts, has done some awful things. I don't defend Matt Lauer. I don't know Matt Lauer. I've never met Matt Lauer a day in my life. As a Black person, I'm more concerned with the behavior of Black people. And my vision of freedom, my vision of justice is not for Black men and for me as a Black man to be as unaccountable and as predatory as white people. When I hear people say, well, what about Harvey Weinstein? Well, my goal is never for Bill Cosby to go as unaccountable as Harvey Weinstein did for so long. My goal is for Harvey Weinstein to be held as accountable as Bill Cosby was being held at the moment. I don't necessarily think the criminal legal system is the way to go. I'm an abolitionist. But we do need accountability. And if we begin from the premise that all 60 women are lying, that becomes real fuzzy math. But let's also not just get into the question of whether Bill's being held to a different standard, because I don't think he is. Bill Cosby allegedly sexually assaulted white women in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. How many Black men in America could be accused of sexual misconduct against white women in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and still have a job and not be under the jail? So if Bill Cosby got exceptional treatment, that exceptional treatment included being not treated like a Negro, not being treated like somebody who is a predator, when Black men in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even now are seen as predatory beings just because of our Black bodies. So if you said Bill Cosby is being held to a higher standard now than these white executives, he's also being held to a lower standard than the everyday Black person in America. At the end of the day, I don't want either extreme. I don't want Black men to be held to a awful, unfounded standard of being sexual predators until proven otherwise. But I also don't want to be Donald Trump. I don't want to be Harvey Weinstein. I don't want to be Matt Lauer. I don't want to be any of these white men who went so long without being held accountable. That's not justice either. But in this case, there are people, 60 women who are saying something. Some of y'all are saying, why are they just coming forward now? The same argument people made about Cassie, and I have a respectful disagreement with my brother, Slim Thug. You know, I have a respectful disagreement with my brother, Peter Guns. I have a respectful disagreement with my brother, Rich Dollars, all of whom said that this was a cash grab. Slim Thug said, if you don't say something right, then you shouldn't be able to sue later. The problem with that is there are so many reasons why survivors don't come forward. There are so many reasons why people don't speak out in the moment. Sometimes you're young and afraid. Sometimes there's a power dynamic and the person is stopping you from saying it. Sometimes you internalize the behavior and blame yourself for a long time. Sometimes it's not until you have therapy and you have development and you have growth that you even recognize this level of sexual violence that you witnessed or the level of sexual violence that you experienced. That's part of why this law was created, was so that people could have a shot at that. If I found out that I was murdered, or I'm sorry, that sounds crazy. If I found out that someone I loved was murdered and it was 30 years later, we wouldn't say, well, it's been 30 years. You can't come out for murder now. If I witnessed the murder and I came back 40 years later and said, I witnessed the murder and I have hard evidence, you wouldn't say, well, it's too late now. There's no statute of limitations on murder. But why is it on the violence, the sexual violence? Why do we suddenly want victims to speak up immediately or never again? That only plays into the hands of the predators. Let's pull up some of these conversations. I see y'all talking to me. We're going to talk about this today, y'all, because there's so many Cosby defenders even right now, and I don't understand why. Lizzie Lee says, that's the reason it's untrue. In the 60s and 70s, Cosby would have been under the jail if these white women weren't in agreement at the time. That doesn't... Bill Cosby was powerful even in the 60s and 70s. He was America's darling. I mean, there's Harry Belafonte, who's the most famous person in America at one point, and certainly the most famous black person. But under him was a lot of people. A lot of people who had influence and power. Bill Cosby is one of them. His castmate, Sidney Poitier, is another one. You don't hear the stuff about Sidney Poitier, Muhammad Ali. You don't hear the stuff about Muhammad Ali. You hear stuff, but not that kind of stuff. Why is Bill Cosby being targeted? Why would 60 or 70 women decide to make this up? Now, I'm biased, not because I dislike Bill Cosby, but because I've actually spoken to some of the women. I've heard their stories. I've heard women from teenagers up to their 50s and 60s. Let me be clear. I spoke to women who talked about what happened to them when they were teenagers. And I've spoken to women in their 50s and 60s who said that it happened to them in their like 30s and 40s. And in both cases, they were pretty persuasive. I can't say who's lying, who's not, but they were pretty persuasive. And I don't think all these women just make this up. Bill Cosby is far from being broke. His real estate portfolio alone is amazing. I hear you. I don't know Bill Cosby's finances. I know that a report came out that his legal fees are causing him to get second mortgages and that his legal bills are causing him to liquidate assets, including second mortgages and selling art. If it's not true, it's not true. My focus isn't on Bill Cosby's money. It's on what got him here and why we shouldn't have sympathy for somebody in that situation. Again, he ain't broke, bro. He ain't me broke. If I go broke, you know it. These books are going to be on Amazon for 50 cents. This podcast equipment going to be going. I'm going to be on a prepaid OmniPoint Celly. Back in the day, you going to know I'm going to be, my family, we're going to be in a shelter. I'm going to be broke. I don't got no money. This is different. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up one more and then we're going to get back to this accountability thing. Why would you like to be like white men and get away with harming people? Exactly. And it's sad because so often for black men, and I'm speaking to black men exclusively here, because I love us. When I see how many black men are voting for Donald Trump, when I see the number of black men who supported Donald Trump in 2016 and in 2020, a lot of it has to do, based on my conversations with these black men, with how they see him as a person. They see him as strong. They see him as free. They see him as not giving a damn about power. They admire his unaccountability. And I get it. This country has beaten down on us as black men. This country has dehumanized us and said we're less than nothing. And so when we see the possibility of being something else, too often our vision of freedom is not real liberation, but to be like our oppressors. And so our vision of freedom as men is not to be people who are delivered from patriarchy and misogyny and homophobia, but instead to be the chief purveyors of those things, to be as unaccountable as the white men who harmed us and were unaccountable. I get why it happens, but that's not who we need to be. Jamie says, Bill Cosby had consensual sex with white women who did drugs with him. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll in Hollywood. Let's pause there for a minute. You say he has consensual sex with white women who did drugs with him. These women are saying we didn't do drugs with him. He gave us drinks and the drugs knocked us out. Now, some people said they did consensual drugs with them. That's true. Other people say that things were slipped into their drink. But even if, and this scares me about y'all, even if somebody takes a drug with you, even if somebody gets drunk with you, even if somebody gets high with you consensually, once they are drunk and high, you can't just start having sex with them. Because you know what? It's not sex. If they can't consent, it is not sex. It is rape. Please understand that. And the fact that so many of you are defending Bill Cosby, it makes me wonder if you're actually, and I'm not referring to you, Jay Mees, I'm speaking in general terms. Many of us who defend the behavior of people who are accused of these things, it makes me wonder if y'all are actually worried about what that would mean for your own practice. Like if that was rape because she was drunk and throwing up all over the place, then what does that say about me? What I did at that party? What does that say about me? What I did after that club? And look, I'm not here to make judgments or moral condemnations of the people in this chat. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we got to ask questions of other people and ourselves. That's all we can do. So Bill Cosby, he's saying that he may not be able, or the reports say that he may not be able to pass on stuff to his family, to his grandchildren. Look, I feel for those grandchildren. Just like I feel for all the people who were on the Cosby Show who no longer got residual checks because they got taken off the air when Bill Cosby got into his legal trouble. I get all of it. But at the end of the day, nobody's entitled to inherit $300, $400 million. And if I had that money go anywhere, it wouldn't be to Bill Cosby's grandchildren. It would be go to the people who he allegedly harmed. That to me would be the priority. Do I believe that everybody who's ever told a story about Bill Cosby is telling the truth? No, there's predators everywhere. There's liars everywhere. I can't say there's not. But it seems even more ridiculous to me to believe that everybody's lying about Bill Cosby. Is there a history of black men being lied upon? Yes. Is there a history of black men being called sexual predators? Yes. Has rape and the fear of rape and the fear of raping white women been a tool used to weaponize against black men, particularly in the age of lynching? Absolutely. All that is true. And yet still, we got to be accountable as brothers. I want to shout out some people here. Savage Gaming, again, I appreciate you. Najet Nachaba, thank you again for joining the MLH family. We appreciate seeing that around your neck. Black Nella, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining the MLH family. Yo, you are much appreciated. You are much loved. Join the MLH family, y'all. Subscribe and hit the join button. It allows me to make cutting edge commentary, allows me to make videos, allows me to be a radical voice on independent media outside of what I do on TV. And on TV, I'm telling the truth too. Tasha, thank you so much, Tasha Slagtan. I appreciate you joining the MLH family as well. Don't think we don't see you. Don't think we don't love you. Haweya Arisa, thank you so much for joining me as well. We love you. Thank you for joining the MLH family. You don't have any idea what that means to me. Rose, thank you for showing us love and dropping something in our coffers. Rose says, have all 60 women misunderstood the situation? Unfortunately, perpetuating excuses for bad behavior within the black community is a trend that needs to be addressed and discontinued. That is so true. Look, there's bad behavior in every community. Black people aren't pathological. We're not uniquely prone to these activities. At the same time, again, I'm not worried about what other communities do. I'm worried about my community. And I need black people. I want black people. I beg of black people and black men in particular that we have to do better. Everybody ain't lying. And I know some of y'all believe that they are. I got Daryl here saying Gloria already rounded up these women to shake him down. She wanted 100 million to make it go away. He said, you can't slip a person a Quaalude, they don't dissolve. I'm curious to know how and why you know that. But look, fam, a lot of those women said they took Quaaludes, but they also say they didn't consent to sex. They woke up with their clothes moved. They woke up with their body parts feeling different. They woke up naked. They woke up in different rooms and disoriented. These are things that we have heard and seen in various court filings. And again, we can't ignore all of it. Some of you say, well, if it's that bad, why not go to the criminal court? Why do you think criminal court is the solution? There are a lot of people who don't want to go to criminal court because they don't want their business dragged out on the street. They don't want people to know what they did and where they were. Not because they did something morally wrong or illegal, but because they're private or because they don't want to be slut shamed or they don't want people to be asking these very questions. What were you wearing? Why'd you go there? How late was it? Why did you think, what else did you think he wanted at 2 a.m.? All these kinds of things that happen to victims, survivors, excuse me. This is why we absolutely have to change the conversation. Gloria already, she has done a lot of work with these victims. She has rounded up lots of them, and it might be personal right now. I know Gloria, I know her daughter, Lisa Bloom. From what I know, there's nothing untoward, there's nothing improper going on there. They're not breaking any rules. They're not trying to steal from Bill Cosby. They're not trying to railroad Bill Cosby. They simply want justice for the women. And might it be personal at this point? Sure. If I were filing lawsuit after lawsuit against somebody who I believe to be a sexual predator, and that's what she believes him to be, then I absolutely would feel a way, and it would get personal. I would be going out looking for other women, not because it's a lie, but because, Jesus, what else would you think? Black Nella, thank you. You know, the reports often say Bill Cosby would say that these were pain meds, cold meds. He would offer people things if they weren't feeling well. And again, they'd wake up disheveled. This feels sick to me. And it's even sicker to me that we're defending this behavior. And you know what? It ain't just Bill Cosby. I work in an industry, I work in a business where too often I hear women tell me that record execs have assaulted them, that record execs have done harm to them, that they were sexually harassed or raped. In the last week, we've seen another, or in the last 2 weeks, we've seen another charge against L.A. Reid, the music industry exec. We've heard and read the full 35-page lawsuit against Diddy. All of these things are coming up, and they demonstrate a certain kind of culture in Hollywood, a certain kind of culture in our world that we need to be mindful of and that we need to be wary of. Mike Taya, yes, the join button you may not see because you are on an iPhone. Thank you for the donation. When you get off the iPhone, you can join, or I can send you a link. If somebody can drop a link in so that he can join from an iPhone, please do. I'd love that, because I'd love him to join right now. Everybody, if you have a second, join the MLH platform. We love you. We appreciate you. We want to keep it growing. So here's the final thing, and I'll leave y'all alone. Is Bill Cosby broke? I don't know. Reports say that he is losing money fast. That is directly tied to these legal allegations. There's no doubt about that. That there's an alleged relationship between the two. If that's the case, we shouldn't be crying for Bill Cosby. We shouldn't be making him a victim. We shouldn't be making him a martyr. Instead, we should be commenting on how long it's taken for these lawsuits to come out. We should be sad that after Thanksgiving, survivors won't have a mechanism for speaking out past beyond the statute of limitations for sexual misconduct, sexual harm, sexual violence against them. We should be criticizing Bill Cosby, who, you know what? Miss Ronnie said it the best. Do you know that Bill Cosby admitted he gave women drugs under oath, but it was Bill Cosby has acknowledged giving women drugs before. That's not a controversial claim. He's acknowledged giving women drugs to relax them, giving women drugs. The problem is, again, we live in a rape culture that doesn't seem to acknowledge that that kind of stuff is not only improper and untoward, but it's actually sexual violence, it's sexual assault. Taking a condom off and not telling your partner is sexual assault. Bringing someone home, getting them drunk and having sex with them and they don't remember it is sexual assault. Somebody changing their mind in the middle and you continuing despite them revoking consent is sexual assault. We need to have a conversation about what consent is, what sexual violence is in our community. And maybe, just maybe, this Cosby story, this latest Cosby story will get us there. I hope so, y'all.